Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about some historical fiction recommendations. There is so much great historical fiction out there, but I'm going to go over some of the ones that I have read that I really enjoy in the hopes that maybe you'll find something new that you haven't read yet. First, we have a couple of series from Linda Lee Shaken, and these books are older. I can't remember exactly when they were first published, but they had to have been at least like early 2000s. Okay, I looked, and one of the series is early 2000s, and one of them is actually from the mid 90s. So these are a little bit older, but she has a lot of different books and I've enjoyed some of her writing. One of those is the Silk House series. So the first book is called Daughter of Silk. And this one is really cool. It takes place in Paris during a time of quite a bit of unrest, and the main character is having to navigate essentially political intrigue during that time. So there's mystery, politics, danger, and romance all thrown into this book, and it was a really good one. I think there's 3 books in this series, and I really enjoyed these. The next one by Linda Lee Shaken is Port Royal, and it's part of the Buccaneers series. So this one is historical fiction with pirates, and of course, anytime there's pirates, I mean, come on, I have to read it. This series, I believe, also has 3 books, and it's a lot of adventure, intrigue, and pirates, so adventure on the high seas. Another pirate historical fiction is written by M.L. Tyndall, and that's Legacy of the King's Pirates. These are the first 3 books in this series, but she has since released several more books in the Legacy of the King's Pirates series, and I think it's up to 7 books now, so there's actually quite a few of these. I have only currently read the first 3, but I'm hoping to read the rest of them because I didn't even find out that there were more in that series until I think it was sometime last year that I realized that there were more in that series that she had released after these original 3 came out. So the first 3 are The Redemption, The Reliance, and The Restitution, and all of these were really good. I loved every single one of them. So if you're looking for historical fiction with pirates, this is a good series to get into. Another really fun series that I read last year is the Hanger's Horseman series, and this is by Karen Witemeyer. So this series is so much fun. These books cover the stories of the 4 men in Hanger's Horseman, and it goes all the way from book 1, which starts at Love's Command. It goes through the Heart's Charge, and then an Honor's Defense. And between the 3 of these, you cover some of the life and romance that happens to these men who are super close to each other. Like, they have fought together, they have been through so much, and they fight for justice in these books. And so each one of these books, they essentially are taking on the bad guys who surface in these stories to bring justice and to protect the people that they care about. Even though there's only 3 books, you do get to see all their stories because the middle book, The Heart's Charge, actually covers the stories of 2 of the men in Hanger's Horseman. So you do get to actually see what happens with every single member of that team, and it's really neat. The way they look out for each other, the way they care for each other, the way they care for those that they are protecting, they're just fascinating characters, and it is just such a good trilogy. I really enjoyed this one. Another book that I read last year was Lady Jane Disappears by Joanna Davidson Politano, and this was the first book that I ever read by Joanna. This was really good. It's historical, it's intrigue, it's mystery, there's a lot going on, and the main character is really trying to figure out what happened in her past and who she actually is. And she's also a writer, which is really fun. So you get to see some of that aspect of things as well. There are a lot of very memorable things that happen in this and a lot of amazing quotes that just really hit hard. And so that was one of the things that I really remember about this one too, is some of the lines in it were just amazing. And so this was a very good book. I am excited to read more by Joanna because I know she has quite a few historicals out there. So hoping to read at least a couple more of hers this year. The next one we have is Not by Sight by Kate Breslin, and this takes place around the time of World War I. And the 2 main characters in this one really go kind of through this roller coaster of thinking they know certain things about each other while not actually knowing a lot about each other, and uncovering all of that and their tie-ins with each other and who they actually are is a big part of this story. On the back it says, in the spring of 1917, all of Britain's attention is on the World War I war front and the thousands of young men serving their country on the front lines. Jack Benningham, dashing heir to the Earl of Stonebrook, is young and able-bodied. but refuses to enlist despite the contempt of his peers. A wealthy young suffragette, Grace Mabry, will do anything to assist her country's cause. Men like Jack infuriate her when she thinks of her own brother fighting in the trenches of France, so she has no reservations about handing him a white feather of cowardice at a posh masquerade ball. But Grace could not anticipate the danger and betrayal set into motion by her actions, and soon she and Jack are forced to learn the true meaning of courage when the war raging overseas suddenly strikes much closer to home, and their fervent beliefs become a matter of life and death. I really enjoyed this story. I'm looking forward to reading more by Kate Breslin. The next one is Of Golden Shadows by Michelle Greep. This was a lot of fun. The main character in this is basically an Egyptologist. Like she studies ancient Egypt, she studies artifacts, and she gets a job working for a man who has recently come into acquisition of a large amount of Egyptian artifacts. Throughout the story, you get to, of course, see them growing closer together, as there is a romance element to this book, but you also get to see a lot of her work as she is looking through all of these different artifacts. But you're also kind of thrown into a bit of a mystery because there's a lot of things that are kind of unexplainable occurrences that start happening in this book, and so you're untangling that as you're reading along as well. This was really neat. It has a lot of cool history. It has the Egyptian element. It has mystery and suspense and romance, a little bit of everything really, and I really did enjoy this book. Another book that I absolutely love that takes place during World War II is When Twilight Breaks by Sarah Sundin. This was such a cool story. There was a lot of places in it too that your heart was just pounding because you don't know, like, you think the characters are going to be in so much trouble. They find themselves in situations that you're really concerned for their well-being and whether they're going to actually survive to the end of this book. And so there's a lot that happens in this. Sarah's writing is spectacular. The way she develops her characters, the dialogue is just very impressive. So not only this one, but others that she has written, I would highly recommend. But this was the first one I read by her, and it definitely holds a special place. The main female character is an American foreign correspondent, and the main male character is a graduate student who is working on his PhD in German. And the two of them find themselves in a lot of really kind of scary situations throughout the course of this book. But the story is amazing. I really loved it. I also want to talk about a couple of books by Jamie Jo Wright. She has a bunch of books that she has written that have dual timelines. So there's a historical portion of the book and story, and then there's also a contemporary portion, and you have those main characters in each of those timelines, and those timelines have a lot of bearing on each other, and by the end of the book you kind of see what that is and how everything all ties together. But there's a couple in particular that I wanted to talk about today, and the first one is Spectres in the Glass House. This one was really, really good. I read this last summer and absolutely loved it. It says on the back, an ominous butterfly house, a sinister legacy, an untraceable killer. This one was fantastic. Couldn't recommend it enough. Really enjoyed it. And then the other one is Tempest at Annabelle's Lighthouse. The twist at the end of this was really, really good. I mean, maybe you would see it coming as you're reading through, but I actually didn't see this one coming, and I read the last page and went, what? Like, are you serious? It was a really good twist. The historical timeline in this one especially, I feel like, is very, very strong. I really enjoyed the story that happened in the historical timeline that fed into what was happening in the contemporary timeline. If you haven't already, definitely give Jamie Jo Wright a try because her books are so cool and so unique. I absolutely love these stories, and I have made it a mission to go through her entire backlist and try to read as many of her books as possible. And then of course, I can't make historical fiction recommendations without talking about the Timeless series. This series is so good. The last one I talked about with Jamie Jo Wright, it has two different times that are in it, as far as you have characters that are living in one time period, you have characters that are living in the contemporary time period or the current time period, and you follow those, but they don't overlap in that people don't cross between the time periods. But in this series, the main character or characters do cross over. So they actually live in multiple time periods, and then they have to make a decision of which time period they're going to stay in when they reach a certain age. So as you can imagine, difficult decision, and there's a lot that goes into that decision. There are 6 books in the Timeless series, and there's a 7th one that's going to be released in May, but my 2 favorite ones so far are Across the Ages and Every Hour Until Then. These are books 4 and 5. Every single book in the Timeless series is really good, but these 2 are particularly stand out for me. The 4th one has pirates in it, which by itself is already going to make me happy and wanting to read it. But both of the time periods that she lives in and has to choose between are really well done. I think the stories in both of those are extremely well done and really feed into her ultimate decision and why she makes that decision, and brings a lot into her character development along the way. And the romance is so, so good in that one. And then Every Hour Until Then takes place in Victorian London and also during World War II time period. But in the London timeline, she ends up kind of crossing paths a bit with Jack the Ripper. And there's an overlap in events that are happening between that time period and what she's also experiencing in the 1900s as they're nearing the World War II time frame. The romance in this one also was spectacular. I really, really liked the main male lead in this. He was great, and there were so many neat and interesting events that happened in this one, and yeah, definitely stand out. Highly recommend. And I could definitely keep going. There's so much good historical fiction out there, so maybe eventually I'll do another video with more historical fiction, but I hope that this gives you some ideas of some books to read that you might be interested in that are historical fiction. Thank you for spending this time with me. I appreciate you all so very much. And as always, remember to keep following your dreams and believing in the magic of this thing called life. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.